Hey everybody, Tekking101 here, coming to you live from a Walmart parking lot to bring you the next Zombie Powder Chapter number 10 review. Now, I know a lot of you might be curious as to why I am reviewing a Zombie Powder chapter in the middle of a Walmart parking lot, and that is because, to give you the short version, our bathtub has been stopped up for like 6 months, and we've poured pretty much every chemical down there, and that's very clearly not going to solve the problem. But nevertheless, my mother decided to go pick up another kind of Drano or something. Pretty sure one of the main ingredients of it is sulfuric acid, because the whole house smells like rotten eggs now because it's not going down the drain. Anybody that's a plumber out there probably can tell we have like a major issue with that. But pretty much, yeah, the entire house is... I cannot stand. I was literally going to puke if I had to be in that house a second longer. So, packed all my shit up, grabbed my camera, grabbed my laptop, and I guess I'm gonna be just living on the road for today. I have no idea until I call her and she says, hey, is it gone? Yeah, okay, great, I'll come home. Until then, I'm just gonna be bumming around, I guess. So, the review must go on, though, and this is good as time as any to bring up the kind of manga app I have on my phone, because some people have been curious. I've mentioned it before. The app is called Manga Searcher, and it's really convenient because not only does it, like, just read the manga, like, from the internet, what you can do is it actually downloads the manga from a particular site. I'm not sure what site it does. I think it's Manga Panda or something. The translations are very similar. Anyway, it downloads it to your phone. So if you get a nice sized SD card, mine's 16 gig, you can basically store, you know, a good 100, 150 chapters of pretty much any manga that you want. And I downloaded all the chapters of Zombie Powder on here so I can read them whenever. That way I don't have to be connected to the internet. It's a very convenient app for that reason, in case you're bored and you just want to read some manga. Like the other day, I downloaded Magi and Kingdom, and I was reading them yesterday on my lunch break at work, which is right there, actually. But that's aside from the point. I've gone on long enough about my sad morning. It's only 10 o'clock in the morning. I have to deal with this shit. All right, so let's start off with the B-Sides Naked Monkeys Part 6, and quite, you know, it makes a lot of sense that this Naked Monkeys would focus on Wolfina. We've actually not had any Naked Monkeys. I think the last chapter, I know we didn't have it. I don't know about Chapter 8. I think it was Calder on Chapter 8, but we skipped over 9 just because I don't think there was anyone else to really feature. But we have Wolfina right here, and I don't even know how I'm gonna freaking do this with the pictures, but whatever. It's really cool though that this one actually has the most information. Like, remember when we had Smith's? Smith's was like unknown age, unknown whatever, you know, we don't really know anything about this guy's past. We didn't even know his full name. But Wolfina's we know a shit ton about. A lot of this is just stuff that is really it really doesn't have any relevance to the plot. Like, her hometown is Ciudad Iglesias Bexio. No idea what that is. She's an O positive. So, hey, Wolfina, we're same blood type. Awesome, chica. Yeah, okay, so I'm just going to read her a little bio here. She's a paparazzi journalist, and she makes her living by undercover other people's evil deeds. She basically thinks the world is more good than bad. She would make a great Kira. She really would. You know, better than Light, because Light thought, oh, the whole world is rotten, everybody just, all the bad people need to die. Wolfina's kind of the same way, how it's like she's a defender of the downtrodden. The world is inherently good, but there's those people out there to make it evil. So maybe, maybe Obata Sensei took it from Zombie Powder, the personality from Kira. She won't believe that someone is bad unless she's seen the witness their evil doings with her own eyes. With her flashy appearance and her elder sister-like temperament, she was treated like a queen during her academy days. What academy? I guess there's some kind of academy, there's a school. I don't know if she's talking about just regular school or she really went to an academy for this. Her favorite food is Mama's tomato and chicken risotto. Okay, that's good. I like pasta. She dislikes eels and roller coasters. I'm with you there. I'm more with this chick in common than I thought. Masters of Adventures watch. Okay, here's the fun part. Here's the part that we'd all been wondering about this entire, like, full-length bio. Incidentally, her bust measurement is a 101 centimeter H cup. That's about right. Just to put that in context for some people that don't have centimeters, or okay, those people that live in America, 101 centimeter bust. I believe that's 1 centimeter larger than Robin's from One Piece after the time skip. So yeah, that's freaking awesome, Wolfina. That's freaking great. All right, so let's continue from the last chapter. The chapter is titled Track.10, Wolfina, and then in parentheses, like a song, you know, like a musical track. Wolfina, parentheses, has no lips to tell you. It says foretell you, but I'm assuming that's just a grammatical mistake. All right, so chapter opens up with chapter opens up with Elwood and Smith continuing to play cards in their hotel room. They have no idea of all the shit that went down in the last chapter with Gamma and Wolfina taking out that entire gang outside the town. They have no idea that shit's going on. They're just still playing cards. Elwood's just like, okay, you were kicking my ass at 5-card poker. How about we play 7-card stud next? And Smith is just like, he's like, that's no fun with 2 people. But then he turns around, he looks out the window, and he sees that there's a massive column of smoke erupting from the other side of the town where Gamma and Wolfina's fight was taking place with that group, with Sacramento's group. So Smith's just looking at this. He's just like, no, that can't be. Gamma wouldn't do something that stupid. Damn it. So it doesn't show them, but you can see Smith is like relatively annoyed by this, and Smith and Elwood are probably going to head off to that location. So we get the title page, and then we cut immediately back to Wolfina and Gamma. I guess all the gang members have been defeated because they're just talking casually here. Wolfina grabs Gamma's arm and looks at it, and he's just like, oh my god, you have an armored right, you're Akutame Gamma. So makes sense why she would know. I mean, aside from Elwood, who is pretty much living out in the middle of the boondocks somewhere out in the middle of nowhere, Wolfina is not only more caught up to date with all of the current events, but that's also kind of her job. Her job is to know all the big names in the world, all the criminals. Like her bio said, she doesn't believe someone is evil unless she sees it with her own eyes. Gamma is clearly not exactly a bad guy, but at the same time, he's an SO class criminal, so of course she would know about him. And she seems pretty happy with it. I mean, I thought she was going to go with like the whole like, oh my god, you're a villain, therefore you're doing evil deeds. But like she said, she knows he's a good person. He didn't interfere with the fight at all. So she's actually really excited. She starts taking pictures of him, and Gamma, I guess, is really camera shy because she's just trying to leave. He's not really taking pictures. He's like avoiding her now. All of a sudden, after this conversation's going on, the freaking 5-0 shows up. The cops, they show up, and he's like, oh my god, like all these dead. I can imagine they see all these dead bodies of Sacramento's gang just littering the freaking desert. Sacramento's like passed out with the freaking tripod. I guess she retrieved it. So cops show up. There's like 2 cop cars. And they're like, oh my god, hands up, please. Gamma just looks at this and he's just like, oh please, this is why I did not want to, this is why I just wanted to leave instead of chat with you, because I knew this crap was going to happen, right? So Gamma just starts to, I guess he just wants to leave, but Wolfina's way far ahead of him because she just starts sprinting in the opposite direction. And the cops don't really seem to care about this. They don't really seem to care that Wolfina is just kind of left when she's obviously a major, suspect here. So Gamma just starts shouting over the cops, just like, hey, why aren't you following her? She was just as part of this as I was. And the cops apparently know Wolfina. I didn't know exactly if this was her hometown because in the last chapter it said, like, I've been running around the desert for like the past couple days, tailing this gang. So I didn't know if this was Alcatara was actually her home, but I guess it was. She does live there, and the cops start going on this monologue about her. I was like, of course, she writes the articles that, put all these criminals away. In the past 2 years, she has broken 68 major stories, and she has crushed 23 criminal organizations, and she's only 18 years old. 18 years old and she has, okay, well, it's manga, whatever. But yeah, 18 years old and she did all this shit. That's pretty damn impressive there. And though, of course, since Gamma recognizes who she is now and what a big deal she is, he just kind of wants to know more. So he starts walking up to the cops like very slowly, and the cops are just like, whoa, dude, stop, please. He just starts unloading on Gamma. Gamma's just like, yeah, no, talk to the hand. We all have been through this shtick before. Grabs the bullets. They're freaking shocked. Walks right up to the guy, grabs him by the collar. I'm like, okay, where does she live? She lives at 636 Any Street. So and Gamma just walks over to her house, next scene, and goes up to her house, and apparently she keeps it unlocked. He walks in. It's a freaking mess in there. She has like clothes and everything like everywhere. I guess she lives by herself. So he's about to walk in. I guess he's just gonna wait for her to come home, I suppose, but all of a sudden he doesn't get a chance for this because this pile of clothing just erupts next to him, and this guy just jumps out and tries to stab him in the freaking head, but Gamma blocks it with his right arm. And this guy, he looks kind of like I don't know, he looks like the Hunchback of Notre Dame, except with darker skin, and he has like a tattoo on his face. He's using a weird shaped knife. It looks like a tuning fork, but whatever. He jumps out of the clothing, which makes this story a little stranger, actually. And it's just like, I don't know who the hell you are. Are you Wolfina's friend or comrade? If you're just her friend, I'll let you go. But if you're a comrade with her, I guess if that means like if you help her break these stories of these news organizations, then I gotta kill you right here. Gamma's just like, you're wrong on both. I'm just a dirty thief like you are. And the other guy's just like, oh, you insulted me, then you become my enemy. So he attacks Gamma with the tuning fork thing. Gamma just like stops it barehanded with his palm, crushes the freaking knife in his hand, punches the dude across the freaking room, so knocks him out in one hit. And in the process of this, though, he knocks over one of Wolfina's dressers, and on the dresser there was a picture frame. So Gamma goes to pick up all the shit he knocked over, and he finds this picture frame here, and the picture frame is of Wolfina much younger, probably close to like, I'd say like 10, 11, with another individual, kind of looks like her little brother. I'm just gonna say it's her little brother, because who else really would you take away from looking at this image? Who looks a lot younger, maybe like 9 or 10. They look about the same age, relatively, I would say. So he's just looking at it, he's like, oh, that's a childhood photo, that's kind of interesting. And then at that same time, though, Wolfina walks into the doorway, and she's looking in, and she's relatively calm by the fact that not only Gamma has broken into her house, but by the fact he knocked out a thug that was literally going to kill her upon walking in. So Wolfina's pretty cool about this, and he's just like, oh, you're probably piecing all this shit together once in a while. You get it. Though I should thank you for knocking that guy out. So she like shakes his hand. He's like, thanks for doing that. In exchange, though, she asks Gamma, then shall I let you touch my breasts as a reward? Okay, she knows. She fucking knows what those extra large freaking, chesticles do to every guy that she is around, like, I mean, I wouldn't doubt her. I mean, really, like, she dresses in that flamboyant, like, not really flamboyantly, but she dresses in the shirt and she keeps it low cut, she's a journalist, you imagine, like, her whole job centers around finding criminals and taking pictures of them. I guess you need a good distraction, so she is aware. Gamma, like, gets red-faced, and he's about to, like, he's like, oh my god, like, you can, like, add in titular manga nosebleed here, and she's just like, oh, that's so cute. Even the famous SO-class criminal Gamma Akutabe gets red in the face. That's pretty funny. We have heard ever since he fought against Calder, Smith said, like, he's always soft on women and children, so I don't know if this is, like, symbol of that. Maybe they had a girl in his pack story that's something, or maybe he's just really sensitive about women and children, I don't know. But Gamma's just like, who's that guy that I just punched in the freaking nose and I knocked out? Like, who was he? And, Wolfina has no idea. Wolfina's just like, oh, he's just a thug. This happens all the time. You see, I busted all these criminal organizations, so it makes sense that there's a bunch of people out for my freaking blood. But I'm okay with it because it's better that they attack me than helpless, weak people, because at least with her, she's okay with, like, having all the, like, she's, I guess, a martyr in that kind of sense, like all the other people that are being terrorized by these gangs and organizations, if I could take all their suffering and I could deal with it, I'm cool with that, as long as they don't have to deal with it. So she's very heroic. She has that kind of Power Rangers type mentality there, but I guess it works for her character. She's just always very upbeat and cheerful, I suppose. So Gamma decides just to cut to the chase here and just like, well, since she's a journalist, since she's, so she seems like I can trust this person now. She says, okay, Gamma asks her, do you know about the Ring of the Dead? I've heard a bunch of rumors that there's one in this town, but I just can't find it. Wolfina's tone changes immediately after this, and she's just like, what are you talking about, Rings of the Dead? That's a fairy tale. There's none of those in this town. Gamma's just like, even though you say that, they're clearly not a fairy tale, because he pulls out the Ring of the Dead that he has and holds it right up to her, and he's just like, there, see? Ring of the Dead, right there. See? They're not a fairy tale. They're real. Zombie powder's real. Wolfina just like, no, I don't buy that. She just, like, thwacks it right out of Gamma's hand. The Ring of the Dead lands across the room, and she just storms out of the house and just, like, give it a rest. That stuff cannot exist in the world. It would have been collected a long time ago if it did exist, so I'm not buying it. So she just leaves the house. And I guess she's just like, oh, I'm just going to leave Gamma in my place. It's cool. He's not going to rifle through my panties or my bras. It's cool. It's cool. I'm all right with a complete stranger just staying in my house. So she leaves, and Gamma just picks up the ring that she knocked across the room, and he is, like, shocked by this, and he's just, like, knocking this Ring of the Dead across the room barehanded. That, she was almost eaten. And then that's all we get from that. And then the last scene of the chapter is Wolfina running off to a hospital somewhere for some unknown reason. All right, so in this chapter, I'm just going to address the whole being eaten thing. And I was going to wonder, like, what does he mean by that? Like, Ring of the Dead eating people. And then I started thinking, like, we don't really know much about them. Keep in mind, this is only chapter 10 of the freaking series, okay? Granted, we've seen 2 Rings of the Dead so far, but if you really think about it really hard, the only ones that have actually ever came in contact with the Rings of the Dead, as in actually touching them, are Gamma and Smith. And both of those times, they were wearing some kind of protection when they were touching them. Gamma, when he was holding the Ring of the Dead, always uses his left hand, his armored right arm, which maybe that's why he had it armored to begin with, so he could hold the Rings of the Dead. I'm not exactly sure, in addition to catching bullets. Smith held one at the very end of Chapter 8, I believe, when they were walking away from Calder's base. He was looking up at one. He's like, oh, you're so beautiful, but I believe he was wearing a glove. They were never touching them barehanded. Wolfina has gloves on, too, but they're kind of like fingerless gloves. She touched it barehanded, and Gamma was noticeably shocked by this, like, holy shit, you gotta be careful with these things. I don't know what she meant by eaten. Maybe if you come in contact with the Ring of the Dead with your bare skin for too long, maybe you get sucked into its ring dimension or something. I don't know. I honestly have no idea. Maybe it'll like start to actually physically like eat your hand, or maybe it'll just kill you. I don't freaking know about that. But aside from that, we didn't really get much more into Wolfina's we got more of Wolfina's character in this chapter, I should say. That's really all this chapter served, just to like cement the fact of who she is, why she does what she does, and just her personality, and a little bit more of her backstory, which is probably going to reveal later, involving her brother. She's running off to a hospital, so maybe her brother's like sick, or maybe, you know, she's just a nice person. She just wants to help out other people. Maybe maybe like the hospital is just a place she goes like normally just to check on the sick people. I don't know if it has to deal with her brother at all. Maybe if Gamma presses harder, it's like, oh, my brother died when we were kids or something like that. Maybe there was some tragedy and that's why she wants to, you know, go around and bust all the, maybe her brother was killed by a gang member. That would make a lot of sense. You know, her brother was killed and out for revenge. They said she didn't start doing this until she was about 16 years old, so that would make a lot of sense. But yeah, next chapter, hopefully see what's going on with that whole being eaten by the Ring of the Dead thing, because that kind of thing, that kind of needs to be elaborated upon, because that's kind of the big cliffhanger. But yeah, so aside from that, hope you enjoyed this chapter review of Zombie Powder from the inside of my 2004 Chevy Cavalier in a Walmart parking lot. I enjoyed it just as much as you did. So yeah, in the middle of the winter. Signing out! And as a final addendum to this story, since I figured I was at the Walmart anyway, might as well have gone and bought myself a waffle iron. Oh yeah, I'll be making myself waffles like a man should. Got the non-stick coated waffle cooking plates, easy open handle, you know, because that just adds to the enhanced gripability there. Skid-resistant feet, power-ready indicator, compact upright storage, and a cord wrap, you know, because you don't want your waffle iron getting that cord everywhere, let me tell you.